So we've spent a lot of time now talking about the conventional warfare threat from Russia, but what about some of the unconventional ones? I'm talking about the ones that take place online, in cyberspace, in the information domain, on a digital battlefield, and in the battle for hearts and minds. Now I'm pleased to welcome Lukas Andriukaitis, who is Associate Director at the Digital Forensic Research Lab at the Atlantic Council. The DFR Lab does really fascinating work trying to counter disinformation and propaganda campaigns, even to disprove and try and unpack crimes that happen online by breaking down all of the different pieces of evidence. So things like digital fingerprints and IP addresses, geolocating photos, and tracking social media posts. They played a role in exposing the activity and presence of Russian forces, in Ukraine and also in Syria. They also do work to uncover election interference across Europe. So really fascinating work. Today, Lukas is going to walk you through a geolocation challenge to show you what this work looks like up close and also maybe give you some tips to try it at home. So with that, get out your apps, please. There might be an interactive component at the end of this, so please go ahead and get ready. And with that, Lukas, take us away.
Alrighty, thank you so much for this kind introduction. My name is Lukas Andriukaitis. I'm an associate director here at the DFR Lab, and as Lauren mentioned, we deal a whole lot with open source techniques, methods, and other things to actually tell what is happening in various conflict zones. So it is very timely to talk about geolocation today, and I'm going to give you a brief walkthrough, and at the very end, I'll give you a small challenge. So for those who haven't stumbled upon this wonderful method, it's basically a way to figure out where exactly a photo or video was taken using various details and various other tricks. Well, basically everything you can get out of the online space. So next slide, please. So basically, this is just a description. It's quite long and not as interesting. The way I like to explain geolocation is it's basically trying to figure out where the photo was taken by looking at details you can see in the background. Next slide, please. Yeah, if we stumble upon something interesting online, before we can actually rely on it, we have to verify and figure out where it was taken. Next slide, please. So basically, by analyzing what we see, we can pinpoint exactly where in the world the photo was taken, and hence make it into open source online evidence. Next slide, please. So we also try to visualize, but basically we try to show every single detail and contrast it with openly available satellite images, satellite maps, and to prove that this photo was taken like that. As you can see, different colors represent different objects between the photos taken and satellite maps. Next slide, please. Next slide. And basically, we have three very simple approaches for you to keep in mind: metadata, reverse image search, and manual search. Next slide, please. Basically, every single photo has metadata, and you can access it by using a lot of various online tools like Exit Viewer and so on. You can also see geotag data on various social media outlets, which can also give you some clues where it was taken. Next slide, please. Yeah, another slide, please. We also have the method of reverse image search, and we use it not only to verify if the photo is genuine or not, but we can also try and find where it was taken. The idea is if the photo was publicly taken, most likely there are other similar photos of the same place online, and by doing reverse image search, we can find them quite easily. Next slide. Some of the tools that I could recommend is, of course, Google. So it's very easy to use. You just click on the little photo, upload photo camera, upload the photo, and it'll give you all similarly looking photos that the Google can find. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide. If you want to take it a little further, you can also install reverse image search or use Yandex, which is very good with searching for various locations in the Russian space. Also, I can not emphasize enough how important it is to crop photos. Basically, to focus your search on the part you want to see. If, you, for example, you're posting a photo of this guy and you're interested in the pool, make sure to crop the pool, because then the search engine can actually focus on the pool and give you better results. Next slide. And next slide. And lastly, there's manual approach, which I could talk for hours, but basically it's trying to basically like solve a riddle. Try to figure out, deduct all possible locations and find it like that. Next slide, please. So basically, even in the photos where there's not a whole lot of details, we can still figure it out by reading, doing our due diligence in social media, reading through various comments and other clips. Next slide, please. And instead of looking at Khimki region as a whole in Moscow, we can actually find the exact hospital, which was also mentioned in this case in the comments, the 19th hospital of Khimki. Next slide, please. Next slide. So once we do that, then the details start to become clear. You can use Google Street View or Yandex Street View to actually compare and contrast various details, and such things as the fence, as you see in the left corner, starts showing a little easier during daytime once you actually look on the Yandex Street View. You most likely would have missed that during the night photo. Next slide. And here we will try and do a geolocation challenge. So basically, the idea is very simple. Since a big thing in geolocation is to try and figure out how 3D and 2D sort of realities are being combined. What I'm trying to say in fancy words is basically every single photo or video is in 3D. It has the X, Y, and Z coordinate axis, right? But if we're dealing with satellite images, which we usually rely on to compare it as a reliable source, we're dealing with 2D images. So basically only X and Y axis. So we need to make this little trick in our heads, trying to figure out, if we see a photo of a truck, how will that truck look from satellite image? If we see a specific house with a specific roof shape, how would that look from satellite images? So this is what I want you to try and do during these two challenges. I'm going to show you two photos. On the left, you're seeing the image I want you to try and geolocate. And on the right, you have two possibilities, A or B. So try and use the polling function to guess or estimate which of the different pictures represent the photo on the left. All right, that's a very quite successful. Oh, it's not done yet. I don't see the final results. Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's safe to assume that most likely most of you have more or less guessed, and regretfully, the correct answer, the percentage is going down. The actual answer was B. If you would have to analyze a little deeper and see that there's a distinct shaped gas station in the back on the right, which can be also seen in the B picture on the bottom left corner. But let's try another time. Let's see how we'll succeed with the second challenge. The rules are exactly the same. On the left, you can see a photo of a car, and I want you to try and figure out where the truck is on the satellite image A or on satellite image B. quite interesting results. For the, let's just give it a couple more seconds. But this time you guys are correct. The B, the image B is the correct answer. You would have to analyze a little deeper, zoom in and see that there's a network tower on right besides the truck. And if you look really, really close, you can also find that the same network tower on the picture B. So the whole reason behind this exercise was to show you that geolocation is not as hard, but it's very sort of detail oriented, right? This time I gave you options to choose from, but in reality, we have to deal with basically the whole world. Most of the pictures can be taken anywhere in the world, and no one gives us, different options to choose from. So I hope this was an interesting experience for you guys. And if you're interested to learn more about geolocation, don't forget to follow us on Facebook on DFR Lab. And on this note, thank you, and give it back to Lauren. Thank you, guys.
Lukas, thank you so much for that fun presentation. I hope everyone learned something from that.